My first property was a 4-bedroom HMO, and since then I went on to get on many more properties. But things didn't always start off to plan. In fact, many things went wrong, and in this video I'm going to explain to you what those things are and how you can avoid it. So the way I got my first property was a typical story that you pretty much hear all the time. I just done a course, I was excited, ready to go. And the thing was with rent to rent, which is how I got my first HMO, is that a lot of the time you're going to get more no's than you are going to get yeses. So I'd spent days and weeks of just hammering the phones and hearing no and no and no and no. And then finally somebody said yes. So straight away I was excited. I was like, I really didn't even do that much due diligence on the property. I just said, oh, okay, you said yes, let's go ahead with it. And the mistakes that I made, I mean, you shouldn't really do that to start off. What you want to do before you even put an offer on a property, any property, you need to do research on what the property can achieve in terms of rent, the area that it's in, is it in a rentable area, what are the transport links that are in that area, and how close is it to the city centre. Now, luckily, this property ticked all three of those boxes. Now, where I went wrong on this deal was, now this was my first property. I was excited, you know. I've been hearing no's for weeks, and somebody finally said yes. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's go view it and sign a contract. But slow your horses. That's not really what you should do. So there was 4 bedrooms, and each room was getting $450. Now, what I didn't do is, after calculating the total rent, I didn't really factor in for all the expenses. Now, the expenses that you want to be taking into consideration when taking on a HMO is the gas and electric bill, the Wi-Fi, the council tax, and the water bill. So I only took into consideration the council tax and the water, I believe, which after that I was like, yeah, the profit's going to be around £600. But then I'd had the keys for the property. It'd been a few weeks now, and I got a letter through the door. Asking for meter readings. I was like, meter readings? Huh? Now, this is the first time I've ever done that before. I've never had to submit meter readings before. So I submitted the meter readings, and it said, and this is what I owe, and this is what my payments are going to be moving forward. Now, doing that, finding out all those payments were going to be moving forward, it slashed the profit from £600 to £300, which, I mean, the rule of thumb really for rent to HMOs is if it's making less than £500 a month, then you don't really want to be taking it on. But I was in too deep at this point in time, so I just went along with it. So let this be a lesson for everyone that's looking to take on a HMO property, is that you need to factor in every single expense that is there. And those expenses are obviously the rent to the landlord. Number 2 is the gas and electric bill, council tax, water, and Wi-Fi. And with regards to what I was speaking about earlier with the transport links, is ideally you don't want the bus journey to be more than around 20-25 minutes, because then it just gets too long. You want the commute from the property to the city centre to be quite short. I mean, the shorter the better, really. There's other bits of due diligence that also goes in, that you need to factor the room sizes. So there's other bits of due diligence that you need to do when looking to take on a any HMO property. And the room size. Now, the room size, it has to be 70 square foot as a minimum for one person staying in the property. And essentially, most of the time, the way you figure that is, kind of fit a double bed, kind of fit a drawer in it, and kind of fit a wardrobe. Most of the time, if you can fit all those things in and you've still got room, then it's to size. Number 2 is that it needs to have fire doors. Every single room needs to have fire doors, preferably the FD30 doors, which is pretty standard. Smoke alarms are also very important in the property for health and safety. In case a fire goes off, everybody's alert quickly. Smoke alarms. And there's more, but those are really the main ones that you want to look out for once taking on a HMO. And obviously you want to make sure that it has a license if you're taking on as a rent-to-rent property. But yeah, I mean, that didn't put me off. What it just told me is that I need to be careful with my numbers moving forward, really. It was a learning curve. I mean, your first one's not going to be perfect, and I learned from that. And the next property that I got after that, I was able to do my numbers a lot better and still profit very well from the property. But I was 19 when I got my first property deal. And you can watch this video here to see the steps that I took to make sure I was in a position to invest in property at a young age.